But Luverlady, what the heck is a Legend Analysis? Well, I'm glad you asked. It's a series where I take an in-depth look at all the features a Legend has to offer, and rank them on a tier list of S, A, B, C, and D. The redone slapped on the end is to go back to ones I've already covered since my editing skills in 2021 were very mediocre. Why am I giving you this reminder? Well, I don't do Legend Analysis videos very often anymore, and also there's a lot of new people dropping into the channel as of recently. Whether you're new or an old-timer, I hope you enjoyed the analysis on the one and only core. As I've stated in the past, I like to redo Legend Analysis videos because my overall opinion has changed on a Legend, or the Legend himself got some big change. For core, I said he was solid all around. Great stats, SIGs, weapons, skins, all that good stuff. Although while I placed him in high A tier back in 2021, I had a dying hate for gauntlets, and hammer was much better too. Now that isn't so much the case. Before diving into the weapons, we'll stay on tradition and start with the SIGs. Core's hammer in SIG, honestly a classic for him. It covers a fairly nice area, and while it does go true with downlight, it's a bit finicky. You don't hit it every time. This is one of Core's most recognizable SIGs for me, as the other SIGs don't land too hard. Hammer side SIG is legit a copy-paste of Bodvar's hammer side SIG. The only difference is that it's slightly slower, does a bit more damage, and has a bit more force. It's really not too bad, it's just a bit predictable with how slowly it comes out. Still, there was nothing else BMG could have done for the SIG. It's too much of a coincidence how similar they are. Hammer down SIG probably takes my spot for one of the worst SIGs in the entire game, and for good reasons. It has very low force, goes on for an incredibly long time, making you extremely vulnerable. While it may support the highest damage of its hammer SIGs, the amount of times you hit it is not very high. Although it's one frame with downlight, it's not a combo you'll ever really be using. The upside I do notice is that it can kill fairly early with the aerial version, but I really wouldn't suggest it all that much. Core's Gauntlet game is arguably worse, but can still be pretty useful in some scenarios. While Gauntlet Instinct can be used for some handy-dandy dunking, it's really not the best for doing so. It's not really a dunking SIG, more like a grab you and throw you down SIG. Wait, that's just a dunking SIG. Regardless, the hitting area is super small and it's only active for a few frames. The force really isn't too high, and while I suppose it makes sense as to why not, it sort of kills the SIG. Although it does have a quick recover time. Gauntlet side SIG. It's the same as Insig, but sideways. It has the same damage, but with more force comes a slower recovery time. I actually think this one is a bit stronger, considering it just has more force, and I think the recovery time on both SIGs isn't a big enough difference to say Insig is better. On to Core's best Gauntlet SIG, down SIG. Looking at the SIG, it actually seems pretty decent. It has amazing force considering the SIG only sends up, covers a pretty nice area as well. The only area it lacks in is damage, sitting at a whopping 20 damage. Spoiler alert, I think Core really isn't a great Legend right now. I think buffing the damage of this SIG would be a tremendous help. Although personally, his in-SIG and side SIG need buffs way more. Overall, I would just go with this hammer game. Core still has decent damage, and I think the low speed of Core fits hammer much better, rather than trying to play 4 or 5 speed gauntlets. Or if you even dare to play 3 speed Core. It gives me the shivers just thinking about it. Taking a look at Core's skin, there's a whole lot of really amazing ones, and some on the lower end too. God tier has Snowman, Gentleman, and Fangwild Core. The Snowman Core is just adorable and has dope weapons, Gentleman is super classy with, again, amazing weapons, and Fangwild just fits the theme really well. Great color swaps too. Pretty good tier has the Corinthian, Chocolate, Toph, and Jake. Corinthian is a rad chest skin, not much to say. Chocolate has a super sick hammer, but looks a bit strange, but still pretty good tier. Toph is my preferred crossover when playing Core. The color swaps don't look bad, and I like the SIG effects. Jake would be the most preferred by anyone, I'm pretty sure, although I don't like the color swaps too much. But it's better than Toph for sure. Mid tier has Default, Warrior Spirit, and Molten Core. Default's just your average Core, nothing too special, but it isn't bad. Warrior Spirit is super unique, but does look a bit off, and Molten Core is definitely the one people bought on release. Med tier has Core Wrecking LLC, Armored Core, and Forearms. Both Core Wrecking LLC and Armored Core feel like they lack in design, weapons, and colors, but they still have crazy unique themes, so I can't really diss on them. As for Forearms, this is the worst crossover for Core by far. Best crossover for Ben 10, but even then it's not that high. Mid SIG effects with terrible color swaps. Then Get Out tier holds Core in Space. Was my least favorite back then, and it still is now. The name isn't unique and just looks hands down terrible. Lots of Core skins, most are actually super cool looking. Tier list wise, out of SA, B, C, and D, I'd want to place Core somewhere in B tier. That might not sound like much, but I end up placing most Legends in S or A tier anyways, and I'm pretty sure most other players do as well. B tier is for the Legends that could use a bit of a touch-up, and C tier is for Legends in deep need of buffs. Core, while I don't think is an absolutely terrible Legend, I do feel like he lacks in some departments. Hammer isn't a fantastic weapon at the moment, and with the recent / not so recent Gauntlet nerfs, it's even harder to play Core. With very average SIGs as well, that's why I ended up placing him in B tier. Although the stats might change my opinion slightly. 6 attack, 5 dex, 7 defense, and 4 speed. You know, if Core was more like Olgrim or Taros and had 3 decks, he might have been a huge hit. Still, I think he was. He's one of the legends I don't hear anyone complain about, just people saying he's cute. Regardless, I would run any stance apart from Dex. Speed takes out a defense, leaving you balanced. Defense makes you super tanky but takes out an attack. Attack takes out on Dex, the most optimal stance likely. And then Dex takes out a speed, leaving you at 3. The worst option by far. Core's stats actually are not that bad. It's enough for me to say Core is a high B tier, but once again, most legends are in S and A tier, so that isn't helping his story much. I don't know what they could do to buff him. Maybe a small buff in his hammer kit, but it truly is just his weapon is dragging him down, it feels like. Taking a look at his play rate, it's sitting at the 1.12% area, which isn't too hot considering in the past he used to be in the 2% area. Although I sort of understand why Core is left out on the fun. There's much more preferable Hammer and Gauntlet legends like Cassidy, Scarlet, and Taros, or Cross, Wukong, and Mordex. But that might just be me. Out of all the Gauntlet legends, I feel like he's the worst. As for Hammer, maybe Yumiko or Magyar takes the spot. Overall, I still love Core quite a lot, even if my Hammer game is really, really bad now. I just like playing super underrated legends, and while Core isn't as underrated as some other legends, you still don't see him all that much. I would say give him a shot if you like high strength and defense, just watch out for that speed, it might mess with you. Thanks for watching this Legend Analysis Redone. It's always refreshing to make one since I don't make them as often as I used to. Of course, if you enjoy the content, feel free to subscribe. It helps me out and you get some awesome content in return. Until next time, always remember to keep on brawling.